Welcome to the Christie Taylor Show. I'm Christie Taylor and super excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking to a dear friend of mine who I had a chance to meet at Oral Roberts University about 10 years ago. Time has truly flown by. And we have something that we both love, and that is writing, more specifically, screenwriting. So we're going to get kind of a little nerdy on today. And let me tell you who she is. She goes by the name of Swiss, Angela Swiss Fischer, to be exact. She's a script editor. They call her Swiss because she's from Switzerland with dreams, hearts, desires, and a strong will. Angela Swiss Fischer has been exploring her vivid imagination through writing, drawing, storytelling, and acting since a girl. She is an Oral Roberts University graduate with a bachelor's in marketing and a master's in business administration, serving as a marketing specialist for a Tulsa-based staffing agency. Now, beyond her primary profession, Swiss has had the honor of being a professional script editor for the past 10 years. Her clients include playwright, author, filmmaker David E. Talbert, best known for Almost Christmas, and for his latest instant holiday classic, Jingle Jangle, which I just recently saw on Netflix. Now, Swizzy Swiss, as some of her close friends like me, we call her, she is truly a hidden treasure in the film industry. I want to welcome you, Swiss, to the Christie Taylor Show.
Yay! So glad to be here.
Oh my gosh. And of course, holiday weekend, we just wrapped that up. And hopefully you had a chance to get with some family and friends.
Not yet, but I will. I'll get there. So
Yeah. So we're recording this on Thanksgiving Day, and it's going to be playing on the following Monday. So for those who are watching us, this is the replay. And I just want you to know that I'm super excited. And I want to say that one of the things that I'm grateful for is you. So I thank God for you, Swiss.
I thank God for you too. Trust me, you've been an inspiration when I needed it the most. So
Yeah. So
helped me to get where I needed to get with dreams. So.
oh wow. Well, you know something, I really appreciate you saying those kind words. You know, we have definitely been support and love to each other. So thank you so much. Now, for those who are like, who exactly is Angela Swiss Fischer? You go by Swiss because you're from Switzerland. Kind of give us a backstory on, growing up in Switzerland, then coming to the US.
Yeah, that's a question a lot of people always ask. How did you end up here? It's always been interesting. I I've, I've I was born in Switzerland, born and raised in Switzerland, lived there for 16 years. The very first time I was in the U.S., I was I think it was 11 or 12 years old. I was in Florida for a couple of weeks, and I just fell in love with the States. And I was like, okay, I really like being in the U.S. And when I was 12, I had a dream about me going to a Bible school here. Um, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to come here when I'm like 30, 32, 34, somewhere there. Well, when I was 16, I graduated high school in Switzerland and nothing worked out. I didn't get a job. I couldn't find out what's the next step, what's going on and everything. And that's when God talked to my parents too and told them, you guys are going to go to the US. And we were like, we can't, our life is built here. We can't just leave and leave everything. But nothing else worked out. And so my parents came and talked to me and said, hey, do you still want to go to the Bible school? And I said, yeah, definitely. And so it was crazy how just everything worked out for us to come over here, how everything just worked out in such a way that we even had an opportunity to become dual citizens and everything 5 years later. It like you just know you're in the will and the plan of God when everything works out so smoothly for you. Because we spoke with other people that have been trying to become citizens for 25 years, still don't have the
Wow.
citizenship and everything. And we were like, wow, this is like one miracle after another. And just how everything worked out for me to go to college here and everything, it was definitely a miraculous way. So definitely been great testimony.
Now, when you speak about Bible college, that was your dream, and you ended up from where I met you, Oral Roberts University. Let's talk about that journey.
Yes. I was in Bible school, finished Bible school.
Where did
And
you go? What Bible school did you attend first?
Rhema Bible Training Center.
In Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah. I was doing that for 2 years. And within those 2 years, I asked my dad, I said, hey, Dad, how do you become an American? And he was laughing and he was like, well, you'd have to marry yourself an American man, So, but he still kind of felt like to see, are there other ways too? And at that point, they still had the green card lottery. And he ended up applying for a green card, and his name was picked. And because I was still under 18, I was still with that too and everything. And we got a green card within a year and everything. And so we have to kind of find out, okay, what's next? What do American kids do? So we have to find a college that would accept my Raymond credits. And my parents weren't ready for me to move out of state and move away from them yet. So they decided to pick Oral Roberts for me. And I was accepted, no questions asked. I was able to transfer to Raymond credits and go to college there. So that's how I ended up at ORU.
And of course, you actually focused on business, even though you're creative. What made you make that decision?
To be completely honest, I decided to choose the business because of my parents.
That's a good honest answer.
I mean, in the end, it's still helping me now. I am grateful I did choose it. It's definitely helping me now with the job, with the career, and all that kind of stuff. But originally, I did pick it for my parents more than for myself. The choices that I wanted to make would have been more in writing, more in theater, all that kind of stuff. But at that point, my parents just weren't sure that really would have given me the future, just because the chances of getting your foot in the door there is just slim. You really have to top everybody else in order to make it in that career. So we decided to go with the business. So.
And not only did you get your bachelor's, you also focused on your master's. What was one of the things that really stood out to you within the master's program?
For me, I knew if I leave, I wouldn't come back to do it later. The other thing is I wanted the challenge. I wanted to challenge myself to the point where I didn't want to give up. I wanted to know that I can do it, and I will do whatever I have to make it, so that I can really be proud of myself for something and say, I've made it. I've made it through it. I've accomplished it. There were moments where I was really discouraged because I kept failing the same class in grad school, where I just wanted to quit, but I didn't. And so knowing that I did get a master's degree and I made it through it all, even as challenging as it was, I mean, it taught me a lot of lessons for life. Trusting other people, accepting support from other people, things like those, knowing that even though I might get discouraged every once in a while, I have the right people that I'm surrounded with that definitely help me to continue pushing through and not giving up. And I think that's what helped me a lot with a lot of things that I do get the opportunity to do now. Don't just quit and give up just because it doesn't work out on the first time. It's because we don't remember as little kids, we didn't give up the first time we fell flat on our face, and we all fell flat on our face before we started walking, but we didn't give up. So why give up now? But now it seems like we're in the kind of culture and society where we just give up too quick, and a lot of people have so much inside of them, and they're not showing it because they're so scared. What do other people say? What do other people think? I didn't make it the first time. Why try again? And stuff like that. It's like, you're never going to know if you're going to make it. And if you fail, you failed, but then at least you tried. If from the beginning you were saying, oh, no, I'm not even going to try or anything like that, then that's definitely not making it. So yes, I stuck it out with the master's, and I did go through with it, and I have no regrets. So.
Now, I do remember that when I first met you, one of the things that, I am drawn to are people who have, you say like you're a dual citizen now, but back then you also spoke fluent French. And you probably still speak fluently, but it was heavy back then. You could really hear your your native tongue. How has that helped helped you being in the States, and how has that sometimes come across as a challenge?
I think the moments when it was challenging was, to be completely honest, when I first stepped on American ground, the challenge for me was not being accepted. There were certain people that were just like, oh, she has a really strong accent, she's not from here, so they wouldn't even relate to us. They wouldn't spend time with us and all that kind of stuff. But the good part is because of the accent, I was very accepted in other circles. A lot of people that know me know a lot of my circle of friends are a lot of African Americans. Yeah, so I was always loved and adored and just taken under their wing from the very beginning, because I was different. They knew, they would always say, I had a friend, Rachel, she would always say, "Oh, she's not white, she's Swiss." so so it was like being different allowed me, but also the good thing is from being from a neutral country allowed me to really see things from different points of view, different perspectives, learning a lot about history, learning a lot about cultures and things like those. And for me, that was amazing. I loved it. Being invited to family gatherings, learning about different foods, all that kind of stuff. For me, that was an adventure, and I loved it. And to this day, people say, "Hey, where are you from? You have an accent?" And I'm like, "I don't have an accent." Like, to this day, I do not hear me having an accent.
It's still there. It's still there a little bit. It's still there a little bit.
For me, I love it because it gives me an open door to a lot of people's hearts and a lot of people's lives that a lot of people don't let other people do. And I love doing that. I love, I was always a people person. I didn't care where you were from or what you did. Like I wanted to get to know you. If you were from a different culture, I wanted to know about that. So for me, it was an open door to a lot of things. The challenges was just knowing you don't have to be accepted by everybody, and you don't have to, the people that see you as for who you are, they'll love you anyways. And I think that was also something that was really revealed to me by being at those big Christian colleges. How many people are respecter of people because of their name, or respect their people because they're coming from these mega churches and all that kind of stuff. The fact that I didn't have that access in Switzerland because it's such a small country, I never saw a person for their name or for where they came from or anything like it. But seeing that, how many people, and especially in the Christian circles, that happened, it was an eye opener to me. And I said, I don't ever want to do that. No matter where I go, I want to make sure I always stay humble and don't, just relate to just the people on the high seat and all that kind of stuff. Because I was like, no, a person needs to be loved for who they are and not for where they came from, not for what they've done, not for anything like that. So.
Right. One of the things that I loved about you instantly was that fact that you have this openness about you. I mean, and I guess that's part of your creativity, your inquisitive nature, because you're like always like, hey, like, who are you? What do you do? And where are you from? And what, you were like a sponge soaking up, American culture, particularly the United States culture. And you do have a lot of African American, or just say Black friends. And you've even dated, Black guys. And I know that sometimes that could come across as a challenge, particularly in Oklahoma. Well, Oral Roberts University was like a little bubble, but sometimes in the South, even the Southwest, you still have a lot of conservative views. What were some of the challenges that you personally experienced as you were engaged in that type of relationship?
Yeah, definitely. Oklahoma it's a different kind of state.
Yes, it is.
It was always interesting because a lot of Blacks that went overseas for sports or anything like that. It was funny because they all came back with the same point of view. It's like, we're being adored over there and this and that, and I was always laughing and say, I told you that from the beginning. I don't know if it was specifically when certain movies started coming out, or if it was just the fact that we just don't have a lot of Blacks in Switzerland. There are a lot in France. There are more in Italy now, and it's definitely increasing a lot in Germany. But so that's like surrounding countries. But in my whole entire 16 years in Switzerland, I only encountered 4 Black people.
Wow.
So the fact that we'd never had it. So whenever you do have it, you adore it. You're like, oh my God, this is something I've never seen before, never experienced before, or anything like this. So when I started dating in Oklahoma, and I started dating Black people, it was always funny because there were a lot of heads turning, and you could see a lot of judgment. Like you could tell. I mean, you could tell when when people turn towards you and then they turn toward their partner and whisper something. You know what they're talking
Yeah.
about. But I think the fact that I think especially in our generation, a lot of people have opened their mindset to a lot of new things, whether it's mixed couples or like just accepting people as they come and as they are. And I think in our generation, it's definitely expanded a lot. You see a lot of couples. There is a big age gap or stuff that our previous generation was talking a lot about. And oh, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Says who? So so for me, there were challenging moments because there was a lot of judgment coming on that, but it also kind of gave me the opportunity to be the rebel and put it in their face, So I never minded doing that because, again, I always accepted people as they came and as they were. It's like, if you don't know their story, don't judge them. If you don't take the time to sit down with them in the cafeteria or in in a restaurant or something and just start a conversation with them, then who are you to put that judgment? Like, you're lucky you never had the history, you never had the family history that you they went through or anything like that, but that doesn't give you any right to point your finger at them. If you don't know their story and you don't take the time to get to know their story, you're probably better off just keeping your mouth shut, So I think for me that was always an opportunity because, again, Oklahoma is really right next day, and you get to see a little bit of different judgments and stuff like that. But I think it's also an opportunity, to really say, hey, we can make a difference and we can take action to change things. And if you're attracted to a Black person and date a Black person, if you're attracted to a white person, there is a reason why you have that attraction to that person. And I think the way that we have been creating in such different ways, I have some Black friends, they're completely saying it this way, white on the inside, and we always joke around because it's like God did that on purpose, where he created me as Black on the inside and white on the outside, and made them the opposite, so that we can do those kind of things. You can love each other no matter what. There is color doesn't tell you yes you can love them or don't love them. Love them for who they are. If those are people that have your back, love them unconditionally, no matter what. So,
and one of the most beautiful things that you're talking about when we talk about the switch between, you can be racial or skin tone, but your culture, your lifestyle, the things you grew up in could be far removed from what your ethnicity typically would dictate. Now, you brought up one particular thing about story. You talked about if you don't know a person's story. And it's interesting because you've been a storyteller since a child, very vivid imagination. And for the last 10 years, you have actually been a story editor. In more specific words, you've been like a script consultant, a person who has an opportunity to see a play or a movie before it's made and help that writer make it the best so that when it becomes a movie, it's amazing. There's one particular client that you have that really is, someone that we celebrate in America, David E. Talbert. But I want you to tell us how you met him in Oklahoma, of all places.
Yeah, that's definitely a God-given opportunity too. I'll tell you that, because he's only been in Oklahoma one time. Wow. And what happened is he was doing a play in Oklahoma, and he was on Oral Roberts University campus.
At the Mabee Center, yes, at the Mabee Center, where a lot of plays and concerts are shown and presented right there on the campus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he had one main actor in that play that was Morris Chestnut. I didn't know who David E. Talbert was. I had no idea who that was.
But you knew who Morris Chestnut was.
Yes, I had this huge crush on Morris Chestnut. I said, this is the one and only time he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am going to meet him, So I had a lot of connections on campus with the security guards and a lot of the people that were working around the Mabee Center and stuff like that. Well, I was working that day when the play was going on, and I said, I am not going to give up the chance for me to walk into Morris Chestnut. I'm going to go into the Mabee Center, and I'm going to hope for the best and hope I'll walk into him. Well, I ended up walking around the Mavy Center, just hoping for the best. And I ended up walking into David E. Talbert. Well, because I'm so
You didn't know who he was.
No,
But you knew who he
no.
was.
And I'm very, very conversational with everybody. I don't care where you're from, what you do. I could walk into any famous person. I am not shy to talk to people. And I ended up starting talking to him, and he said, "So, did you see the play tonight?" I said, "No, I couldn't. I was at work, and I was really hoping I could see it, but I had to work all day and this and that." And he's like, "If I could get you tickets to Arkansas next weekend, would you want to go?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely. You know, that'd be cool." And he said, "I'd even allow you to meet Morris Chestnut afterwards." So I had this little girl inside of me jumping up and down. A dream is coming true, you know. And
But you said he still hadn't told you who he was yet.
no, no. And so after he saw that excitement, he goes and says, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No." You know? He said, "My name is David E. Talbert. I'm actually the writer and producer of this play." I was like, "What?" You know, like I don't know how it is with me just always meeting the right person at the right place. And so I was super excited. And so the week later, I took two of my friends and we went and saw the play, got to meet Morris Chestnut, took pictures with him and everything. And for me, it was an absolute honor. And that's when I have opportunities like that, I don't just want to take that for granted. So I just sent him a thank you email, just really thank him for an amazing evening. We were able to go to the play completely free. We got to meet Morris Chestnut, you know, like just completely honored. And that's while being in college. That's a huge honor, you know. So we were. I wrote him an email and just say, "Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it," and all that kind of stuff. And he said, "Hey, you're welcome, and it's definitely been great having you," and all that kind of stuff. And about 6 months later, he ended up emailing me again and said, "Hey, if I would send you a script, would you be willing to read that for me and let me know what you think?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So I can kind of say that David kind of saw the gift inside of me long before I did. I didn't even know I could do that. I didn't know that I really have a passion for it as much as I do, but he just saw that in me. He small Oklahoma college girl, I see something in her that she doesn't even see in herself yet. So to say, yeah, absolutely. So he sent me that script and I couldn't just read it and tell him what I thought. I had to highlight every typo. I had to highlight every sentence that I was like, I wouldn't do it this way. And here is why I wouldn't do it this way. What I would change it to and all that kind of stuff. So after I started doing the first couple of scripts for him, he said, "You're doing a much better job than editors here in LA are doing. Would you like to do that more often?" I said, "Yeah, I would love to do that." So that's kind of how I really kind of found out or really have a passion and a love for it. And I'm so detail oriented that I do see a lot of things. And again, it's the imagination. I can see those scenes playing in the back of my head while I'm reading those scripts where I'm like, this isn't complete. This doesn't fully connect with the previous scenes. Here's what I would change it to and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of opened the door for me to do that. And so for the last 10 years, I had the opportunity to do that for him. And it's been amazing. I mean, I'm beyond grateful that he did see something in me long before I did. So.
And of course, I have to say that, you have put your eyes on one of my scripts, and I appreciate you for that as well. And I'm looking forward to one day, very soon, having that script hit the screen. There are two movies, though, it's the holiday season, that two movies that if you have to watch a David E. Talbot movie that my girl actually put her eyes on, those two movies would be Almost Christmas and the new movie Jingle Jangle on Netflix. Now, let's talk about that because we are the holiday season. You had a chance to actually touch those scripts. Okay, for us who are screenwriters and consultants, you get so many different types of stories, so many different type of writers. I mean, everybody has ideas from horror to slasher to action movies. But it's nothing like a holiday movie. Those good movies. So what about working on those particular scripts? Let me say that again. How was it working for David E. Talbert's screenplays Almost Christmas, and more recently, Jingle Jangle. Really amazing holiday movies.
Yeah, see, that's the crazy thing. People don't see how much really goes into that. You know, Almost Christmas, you buy it on DVD. It's 1.5 hours. It's a great movie. You don't realize, okay, Swiss had to edit that 9 times before it officially was on DVD. And again, it was such an honor being behind the doors and seeing actually how much goes into a movie. James Single, the very first time I edited it was almost 3.5 years ago. And then for the last year, he was in London. He was filming in London. Um, with the orchestra and all that kind of stuff. If you've seen that movie, you know there's a lot of music involved in that too. But
Yes.
for me, it's an absolute honor working on those kind of movies because David doesn't just do just a movie just to do a movie. Like if you watch his movies, The Baggage Claim, Almost Christmas, Jingle Jangle, there's such deep stories behind it and deep lessons that are so important. When you watch Jingle Jingle, you think, oh, it's a little girl celebrating Christmas and all that kind of stuff. It's not. It's about her believing in her dreams again. It's about her taking it deeper again, knowing she can do it. She is the square root of the impossible. She can do it, no matter what people around her say. She is allowed to see things again as she always did in her imagination, as she dreamed about meeting family members and stuff like that, where other people have given up on. So it was funny reading a lot of the reviews on the movies. Um, the people that really understood that the deepening of the story, they absolutely loved it. And then we had a couple of reviews. They were like, "Oh, this isn't a good story. There isn't any good this and that, and too much music and this and that." And you couldn't take that personal because it's like you don't understand what's behind the story. You just see it just the movie on Netflix, and oh, it's another Christmas movie. Like you don't see what really is in
It's
that.
deep, yes. When I watched it, everybody, I saw that it was coming to Netflix, and before I could watch it like that weekend, because I think it came midweek, people were already in my circle loving it. I didn't realize it was a musical with animation, which I love all of that, the magic of it all. So when I watched it, I was like, OMG, this is a instant holiday classic that will be watched forever, like the Charlie Brown Christmas or the Christmas Story. And I really, really appreciated the fact that he really gifted us with an opportunity to see a Black family intergenerationally,
Hmm.
and how even through hardships and setbacks, and I mean the performances, the casting, I mean, I get into that kind of stuff, once the movie is made, but just the storyline alone was just really beautiful and magical. And I love the fact that he had strong female protagonists,
Yes.
and yet at the same token, when you read the reviews, and even him and his wife, because she's a producer, she produced the film. Of course, they've been an amazing team. That they really made it for their son, which I found is amazing. Now, I know he's been working on this for how many years? He was working on this particular film before you touched it.
He originally wrote the script 20 years ago. Um,
Wow,
that was the very, very first time he put it on paper was 20 years ago.
wow. And then, of course, here it is, 17 years later, you get in play, and here we have 2020, an amazing movie to watch and to enjoy for years to come. Well, I just want to say, Swiss, thank you so much for sharing your story, your
Hey, it's an honor. It's definitely an
and
honor.
your love over the years. And I look forward to more people knowing who you are, because you truly are a hidden treasure in Hollywood. And I look forward to having you touch more of my scripts and having that blessing of seeing them on the big screen as well.
Hey, I'll take him. I'll take it. It's an honor for me to do that. And I always love it. And my heart is always totally in it. So,
For those who want to learn more about you, I am going to give them an opportunity to connect with you. What's the best way for them to reach you on social media?
probably Instagram. Instagram, if you look me up, it's Miss MISS underscore Swizzy, SWIZZY, Swiss, SWISS. It's Miss underscore Swizzy Swiss. On Instagram is probably one of the best ways.
All right, then. Well, thank you so very much. Y'all make sure y'all get at her. And if you are a amazing writer who wants someone who's high caliber, be sure to check out my girl, Angela Swiss Fischer. And yeah, you'll be glad you did. Well, we'll be right back after this. All right, we're back. And because it is the holiday season, what do you have planned for the holidays through the beginning of next year? And what is one holiday wish that you have for yourself, family, and the world?
You know, this has been a challenging year for a lot of us. Let's be real. For holiday, my plan is to eat a lot and to enjoy company, being around people. It's definitely been a lot revealed through this year. You know, we take so many things for granted where it's like now that you don't have access to, you learn to appreciate it just a little bit more. As far as next year goes, I definitely am thinking about starting my own thing, starting blogging, and actually starting reaching out to women and young adults that are challenging with a lot of challenges of life, a lot of things that they feel like they almost have to be. We're just like a feeling of being ashamed of what they've been through in their life when it's absolutely none of their fault. And to just let them know, hey, you're not broken. You're gonna make it through this, but you have to challenge yourself and you have to push yourself a little bit. If you want to make it, you're gonna have to do it. And my wish is for us to get normal lives back. That really is kind of my wish right now. Where I'm just like, can we just get a little bit of a normal life back again? You know, so. And really just for people to learn a lot through this time and again, use this time to challenge yourself. If you have dreams, if you have heart's desires, if you have things that you were never able to do before, now is the opportunity. Take the time. You can't see friends, you can't go out. Why not use the time to put stuff down on paper? Write down your plans, write down your goals, write down your wishes, and then start working towards it. This is the time where you can do it. And I think that's definitely something that I wish on people that have big dreams and big heart's desires. So
I love it. Thank you so much for your holiday wish, and I wish you love, happiness, joy, holiday season and the coming year, and a lot of success on the silver screen and the small one too. All right, and thank you all so much for being here for the Christie Taylor Show. We'll see you next time.